Most women believe aging accelerates at menopause, but the acceleration starts earlier, often at 40. In Okinawa, there's a clear pattern. 5 foods practically disappear from women's routines at this stage of life, and their biological markers tell that story. After 40, something shifts in the female body, and not in a subtle way. Your metabolism starts responding differently. Belly fat shows up even when you haven't changed what you eat. Sleep gets more fragmented. Low-grade inflammation rises without you seeing it in the mirror, but you feel it. This isn't in your head, it's biology. And what do most women do at this point? They try eating less, working out more, adding another supplement. Sometimes it helps a little. It almost never solves the real problem. Now look at Okinawa, an island in southern Japan that became famous for having one of the highest concentrations of women, over 90 living, active, healthy lives anywhere in the world. This isn't folklore. It's been studied, documented, observed for decades. And when researchers looked at what these women were actually doing differently, food was at the center of almost everything. Today I'm going to show you the 5 foods that women in Okinawa avoid after 40, and the exact biological mechanism that explains why each one matters at this stage of life. This isn't a trendy diet. It's not genetics. It's a pattern you can observe and apply. Let's start with the one that's most present in everyday life and causes the most silent damage after 40. Added sugar is in boxed juices, sodas, flavored coffees, sweetened yogurts, whole grain crackers. It's in practically everything that comes in a colorful package promising to be healthy. After 40, the main problem isn't calories, it's glycation. When excess sugar circulates in the blood, it binds to proteins in the body, including collagen. This reaction is called glycation, and the result is what scientists call AGs. Advanced glycation end products. In plain English, sugar literally ages your tissue. Skin loses elasticity faster. Low-grade inflammation increases, and hormones, which are already in transition at this stage, become even more dysregulated. In Okinawa, added sugar consumption has historically been very low. Sweets exist, but not as a daily drink, not as a constant habit. The practical swap. Replace sweetened drinks with unsweetened green tea, lemon water or kombucha without extra added sugar. You don't have to eliminate sweets from your life. You just need to take them out of your daily pattern. White bread, conventional pasta, packaged crackers, breakfast cereal, they all have something in common. They went through an industrial process that stripped out the fiber, the minerals, and practically everything that made the original food useful to your body. What's left? Starch that converts to glucose fast, an insulin spike, a sharp energy crash, and that feeling of hunger that's back 45 minutes later. After 40, insulin sensitivity tends to decline. Your body doesn't process glucose spikes with the same efficiency. The result is more belly fat, more inflammation, more fatigue. In Okinawa, the main carbohydrate has historically been purple sweet potato, not refined wheat. It's high in fiber, rich in anthocyanins, and digests slowly, the exact opposite of white bread. The practical swap: sweet potatoes, brown rice, yams, rolled oats. You don't have to give up carbs, you just need to change the source. This is a point that generates a lot of confusion, so I want to be precise. Protein is essential, especially after 40 when muscle loss starts to accelerate. The problem isn't eating animal protein, the problem is excess, particularly from very concentrated sources eaten in large amounts every single day, like big portions of red meat daily. When consumed in excess, animal protein stimulates a compound called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. In younger people, that's beneficial. After 40, chronically elevated IGF-1 levels are associated with higher inflammation and with processes that accelerate cellular aging. In Okinawa, animal protein exists, but in small amounts, more as a flavoring or complement than as the center of the plate. Tofu, fish in moderate portions, and legumes are the dominant protein sources. The practical swap. This isn't about eliminating meat. It's about reducing frequency and volume. Smaller fish, eggs, tofu, and beans can make up most of your protein throughout the week. Deli meats, hot dogs, packaged snacks, store-bought sauces with an ingredient list that reads like a chemistry textbook. What do they all have in common? Excess additives, preservatives, artificial colors, flavor enhancers, high sodium modified fats. The impact on the gut microbiome is significant, and the microbiome matters a lot after 40 because it regulates inflammation, neurotransmitter production, nutrient absorption, and even hormonal balance. When you consistently feed your gut ultra-processed products, the beneficial bacteria lose ground. Inflammation rises, mood swings. Your metabolism responds less efficiently. In Okinawa, the traditional diet has very little industrialized food. What ends up on the plate most of the time was prepared from ingredients that still exist in nature. The practical swap: home-cooked food, recognizable ingredients, natural seasonings. It doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be consistent most days. This one is the most controversial because it goes against a lot of what the wellness industry sells. Protein powder in excessive amounts, collagen in mega doses, thermogenics, fat burners, miracle formulas. The problem isn't the supplement itself, it's the excessive and unnecessary consumption of concentrated substances that the female body after 40 doesn't actually need. Excess whey protein, for example, brings us back to the IGF-1 problem. Mega doses of certain nutrients can overload organs that are already in hormonal adaptation, and there's an invisible cost. When you replace real food with supplements, you lose the food matrix effect. The fiber, the phytochemicals, the compounds that only exist inside a whole food. In Okinawa, there's no culture of heavy supplementation. Nutrition comes from the plate, not from a packet. The practical swap: use supplements when there's a documented deficiency. Vitamin D, B12, iron, magnesium. Beyond that, invest in the quality of what you eat, not the quantity of what you supplement. You might be wondering why after 40 specifically. Let me explain 3 mechanisms. Simply, without turning this into a biochemistry lecture. First, glycation. When sugar and refined carbohydrates circulate in excess in your blood, they react with the proteins in your body. Think of the collagen in your skin as an elastic spring. Glycation is like rusting that spring. It loses flexibility. Skin softens, wrinkles faster, tissue becomes more rigid. And this process accelerates after 40 because the body has less capacity to repair the damage. Second, chronic low-grade inflammation. This isn't the inflammation you can see, like a swollen ankle. It's silent. It happens inside the tissues, in the arteries, in the gut. Ultra-processed foods, excess sugar, and large amounts of animal protein all directly contribute to this inflammatory state. And chronic inflammation ages your body from the inside out. Third, the microbiome. Your gut has more neurons than your spinal cord. It communicates with your brain, your immune system, your hormones. The beneficial bacteria that live there need fiber, and they suffer from additives, excess sugar, and ultra-processed foods. In Okinawa, fermented foods like miso and fermented tofu are eaten daily. These foods actively feed the microbiome. 3 mechanisms, all of them directly impacted by the 5 foods we just covered. But there's something that goes beyond individual foods. In Okinawa, there's a practice called harahachi-bu, loosely translated as eat until you're 80% full, not until you're stuffed, not until the plate is clean, until you feel almost satisfied. It's a conscious regulation of quantity, and it matters because caloric excess, even from healthy foods, activates the same metabolic pathways that sugar and ultra-processed foods activate. The traditional Okinawan diet is predominantly plant-based: sweet potatoes, dark leafy greens, legumes, seaweed. Animal protein exists in a small proportion. And fermented foods, miso, tofu, fermented vegetables, appear almost every single day. This is not a trending diet. It doesn't have a marketing name. It doesn't have an expiration date. It's a food system built over centuries by a culture that valued longevity with health, not just years on a calendar. And the most important part, it's a coherent system. It's not cutting sugar while keeping ultra-processed food. It's not taking collagen while eating deli meat every day. The effectiveness lies in the consistency of the whole, not in the perfection of any single choice. Before I wrap up, I need to say something that matters. Women in Okinawa don't age more slowly because of privileged genetics. Japan has other regions with different habits and very different health markers too. Genetics contributes, but it doesn't explain this. It's also not supplements. It's not some magic compound recently discovered. It's not a 21-day protocol. It's consistent choice. It's a pattern built over time. It's understanding that what you put in your body every day is quietly shaping how your body responds to the years passing by. After 40, your body isn't asking for perfection. It's asking for consistency. Taking added sugar out of your drinks most days, reducing ultra-processed food, adding more plants, bringing one fermented food into your routine, stopping when you're almost full. Simple? Yes. Easy? Not always, but possible. And with real lasting effect. I want to leave you with one question. Of the 5 foods we talked about today, which one shows up most in your routine, and that you know deep down you could change? You don't have to answer me. You can answer yourself.